Alright, so PragerU came out with a video yesterday titled Capitalism versus Socialism, and the video wasn't bad, but there was one thing that bothered me that I think people who favor free markets need to be aware of, and I'll get to that in just a second. So the video started off with some well-known and important points, including the truth about capitalism, in that most people seem to not realize that under a free market system, you do not succeed by simply being greedy or selfish. That would be a rather naive viewpoint on capitalism, as you must figure out what society wants and what those around you want, and you need to figure out how to offer whatever that is to people within society, and only by acting as a benefactor to people within society will you prosper under free markets. Another way of thinking on this point is that you can be the most greedy, selfish, self-concerned person on the planet, but under free market capitalism, despite your overwhelming greed, you will not be able to enrich yourself unless you provide products or services that are needed or wanted by people. Under free markets, you will not succeed if you do not figure out how to serve your fellow human beings. This reality is in direct contrast with how far too many people think of capitalism. Too many people think that under free markets, greed is just somehow the only means by which you can enrich yourself. This is just not true. Show me a greedy CEO with nothing but money on their mind, and notice that they would still be forced by free market capitalism to care about people. They may not be sincere in caring about what people want, but that's the beauty of free markets. That greedy CEO had better behave like they care, otherwise they will eventually fail. Alright, so that was a great point made in this PragerU video, one that I completely agree with, but here's where I would part ways, and I would warn free market people not to make this point. At one point in the video, as many people are doing nowadays, they are saying that the lowering of taxes and the cutting of regulation is giving way to the economic expansion we've been experiencing. Now, I am completely in support of lowering taxes and cutting regulation, no doubt about that, but here's the problem. We are going to experience a severe economic downturn due to the Federal Reserve, and videos like the PragerU one will be an easy way for people to point and say, hey, look, those free marketers took responsibility for the economy when it was good. They were the ones who were driving everything. They cut taxes and cut regulations, and look at the massive downturn we've just experienced. And even though they would be absolutely wrong to blame the free market, things like this PragerU video will make it way too easy to be wrong about that. We still have a Federal Reserve screwing up the marketplace. The Federal Reserve, a central bank, which I've stated before is plank number 5 in the Communist Manifesto, it distorts credit markets, it has been destroying savings by keeping interest rates so low, and this causes people to put their money into the stock market if they are looking for any sort of return on their investment. This bids up the prices of stocks, so people feel great, but it's a house of cards. It will tumble down. Also, by keeping interest rates so low, people and businesses are receiving loans they otherwise never would have if the loans being given out were an actual real reflection of the risk of those loans. But because of the Federal Reserve and the dirt cheap credit, none of those things are given any attention as they would be in a free market system. The whole thing is a house of cards, and it will collapse. Every distortion in the market that the Federal Reserve creates is a little tiny error, and as those errors accumulate, we get closer and closer to a massive market correction that is going to hurt a lot. But what will hurt more is when the average person sees videos like this PragerU one and comes to the erroneous conclusion that it was the free market that was behind the wheel of the economy because, hey, look, they cut taxes and they cut regulation, and then we have this downturn, so people will erroneously blame the free market. So I think it's fine to say that cutting taxes and cutting regulations is helpful. I agree 100%, but it should always be pointed out that there is this dark looming cloud of pure state-granted monopolistic power in the form of the Federal Reserve that will cause us a lot of problems, and it is antithetical to the free market. That's why the Federal Reserve must always be that side note that is always mentioned in conversations or videos like this, and I wish that the PragerU video would have mentioned it as well, to at least hopefully keep some people from coming to the false conclusion that it was the free market that caused our eventual economic hardship. But that's got to be it for now. Please like and subscribe. That would be fantastic of you. And later on.